All right.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. I welcome you to the Daak Baithak. The Daak Review, the Daak, as some of you have already been joining us for a while, is an attempt at bringing newer conversations, academic, uh, cultural, relevant to geopolitical context, but also what's happening within Indian context. And what we do at the Daak is that we started the Daak as a book review journal 2 years ago. We then expanded, and the Daak now is a peer review journal that is attempting at doing some small work in academic conversations. Daak Baithak is an extension of that project, and a couple of months ago, starting in April 2025, we started a weekly series of conversations. And today, we're very glad and almost most honored to have Dr. Chakraborty with us here. So Dr. Sreshtha Chakraborty holds an MPhil and PhD from the School of International Studies, Jawaharlal Nehru University. She's currently serving as an assistant professor in the Center of School of Law at Bennett University. Her work involves in foreign policy, Gulf politics, cultural diplomacy, and she's previously taught at OP Jindal, Global University Soniput, as well as Amity University in Noida. And she has a strong focus on international relations and global affairs. Today, as we all know, she's going to talk to us about old conflicts and new dynamics, explaining shifts in West Asian politics. The topic could not be more timely. And we have an expert amongst us to talk to us about the same. So we're looking forward to a very engaging, but also a session where we learn things that are very important and crucial to the times that we are living in. We also would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude towards a discussant for today, Dr. Sanjukta Nath, who has been part of the Daak editorial team since its beginning. Dr. Nath is also a faculty member at the Indraprasth Law University. She is someone who has a PhD also from the Center for International Studies, JNU. And I now open the session for and invite Dr. Chakraborty to come in and talk to us about the dynamics. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for such a gracious introduction, and I'm glad to be here today to speak about something which is very important in today's world politics, because we are seeing a global churn in the world at this moment. There is a lot of shifts and transitions which are happening. New alliances are forming, old are renewing, sometimes they are changing. So, and also we have a very difficult president at this moment, who is also president of the United States of America. And it's very, very difficult to predict what exactly going to be the next step for that particular state. Coming from there, it is important to know that this region is a very, very crucial area in the world politics. And from there, first of all, we need to know that why we call it the West Asia. Because I always give this clarification before I start my conversation, because most of the world calls it Middle East and we call it West Asia. We called it West Asia because of the reason that we do not want to see this region from a Eurocentric worldview. Because the moment we call it Middle East, it's giving we give geographical importance to how US or the West sees the region as strategically important to them. We need to know the region, how it is strategically important for us, okay, for the global South. So hence I use the term West Asia, and it's nothing else apart from that. And to start with, that why we are calling it an old conflicts, which is giving it a new dynamics. The thing is, all the issues that we are going to discuss today, or all the conflicts that we are going to discuss today, none of them are actually a new conflict or a new issue. It's the issue is old, but it is shifting and its dynamics are changing. But no such issue, not a single issue has been resolved. So that's why there is shift and no resolution there. So to start with, these conflicts that we are going to discuss today are actually not accidental, and they are certainly not recent. Rather, all of them are deeply rooted in the legacy of colonialism. And so much so that most of these regions have their border drawn by the imperial powers. So all the countries that we're going to discuss today are the products of colonialism, and also they are the product of the imperial powers trying to get the most out of this region. Ideological rivalries, sectarian division is a very important matter in this discussion. And also we see that there is a tense competition, like there is always a sense of competition regarding its strategic resources, that is the oil and the gas that is available in abundance in this region. So when we see what kind of lenses are we going to use, these are the lenses through which we are going to start the entire discussion. Now, in which, since we are talking about new dynamics, I have actually pointed and I'm highlighting two events which is bringing about this shift. The first event that I'm going to highlight is the Arab uprising, which happened in 2011. And since then, we are seeing that the political landscape of this region is changing and it undergoing a very, very critical shift. Especially if we see that after the Arab uprising of 2011, which started in Tunisia and then it spread across, and it is still continuing. If we are thinking that it is not continuing, it is continuing in the form of the Yemen conflict. So it is still ongoing. This uprising not only actually challenged the long-standing regimes that were there, but it also exposed certain deep-rooted socio-economic grievances. It also exposed identity-based tensions. So most of the fault lines here also, that when we see in the conflicts, we see that it is identity-based and identity-driven. So much so that we also see that there is a huge youth bulge in the region at this moment, a huge number of youth population. And it is their generational aspiration to be independent, to act autonomy, to have autonomy is what is important to understand. There is a generational aspiration which is embedded in this region. In the post-uprising phase, we also see that there has been a regional realignment and there has been a lot more global engagement. So not lot more superpowers or powers which are hegemonic in its nature are more vested in this region since then. The second important event which I wish to highlight is the Abraham Accord, because which has completely changed the dynamics of the region. Why Abraham Accord is important? Because it has more of an economic engagement in its mind than political. So now all these players of the region across the, and also the external players of the world, they are seeing this region from the point of view of trade, that how are they going to have more connectivity, they are going to have more trade. So the perspective from geopolitics is now transforming into geoeconomics. So the transformation has happened because of Abraham Accord. So we also see that this Abraham Accord was actually brokered by United States, and it started just after the pandemic era. So 2020 was the time when they started pushing for this, and it led to a lot of Arab states which boycotted Israel for a very long period of time, started normalizing their relations with them. And this arrangements actually signals a shift in regional politics. Okay, so when we see this, we see that economic cooperation, security concerns, especially when it regarding Iran, it becomes a very important issue to address. So much so that the technological partnership or even sustainability goal becomes a very important dynamics in the Gulf or in this regional politics. So you will see a lot of Gulf countries hosting this SDG conferences, COP. They are trying to focus more on diversification of their economy, emphasizing more on renewables. And you will be like all of you must be wondering that why renewables, why suddenly Gulf, which is a it's a place where we see oil and gas, they're talking about renewables. So all these shifts and dynamics are part of this entire politics. Now, if we go into the individual place of different superpowers in this region, first we need to know that what has been the role of United States in this region. So since the Gulf War in 1990s, we see that United States emerged as the sole security guarantor of this region. So much so that United Nations started building a lot of bases across Middle East and creating a lot of proxies. And their maximum proxies were created in the Gulf region itself. So you would see a lot of base, the largest base also of America is in Qatar, which is the Al Udaid, which was recently being bombed by Iran during the ongoing conflict. So they became the security guarantor because none of the small states can provide their own security. Okay, so that is the first reason. Then you would see that since the recent that time onwards, US guaranteed security, but suddenly US's own interest in the region has itself shifted. So we see a strategic recalibration by the United States, which actually is creating some kind of a vacuum. Why it is creating some kind of a vacuum? Because United States are no more interested in the region per se to invest. Rather, they're focusing more on Indo-Pacific. So their entire shift has, entire politics have shifted from the Gulf and the Middle East to Indo-Pacific and that region and towards Asia. So this region certainly is no more important. They don't want to be the security guarantor of this region, and hence there is a vacuum now. Now this vacuum needs to be filled. In politics, there has to be some security guarantor in this region because they cannot survive on their own. This place is now getting somehow filled by Chinese. Now, why Chinese? Now, the thing is, China never takes any diplomatic stand. It never comes out and says that I have a partner here in this region. Because China does business with Israel, China does business with Iran, China does business with almost all the states of equally. So what is China doing? China is trying to have a more economic assertiveness in this region. And why they're doing it? Because of the simple reason. They have this BRI initiative, the Belt and Road Initiative, which is a massive infrastructure investment for them. And also it ensures energy partnership. Also, you need to know that US is no more reliant on this region for their oil. It is only China and Asian countries who are solely dependent on this region. So that dynamics is changing, but China refuses to be the security guarantor of this region at this moment. So much so that they will sell their weapons maybe, but they will not actively take part, which Chinese never do in any conflict as it is. So US, China. And on the other hand, you see that all these regions, like especially in the Gulf, you would see that all these countries are also changing their nature. Suddenly, they are embarking in this process of modernization. In Gulf, you see Saudi Arabia suddenly has come up with this Vision 2013. Iran is trying to shift their domestic equations. UAE is trying to be this regional, modern state. Also, you would see that in terms of governance, legitimacy, state and society relation, all the small states which were authoritative are also trying to bring some kind of modern urban elements to attract investments. So these are some of the crucial changes which are happening in the region. And yet you would know that in the old conflicts, in all this setup and all these transitions are happening, the old conflicts remain. There is no shift in geopolitics. There's no shift in their resolution. Okay. In this context, we need to know that two important rivalries are shaping this entire region at this moment. That is the Palestinian-Israeli conflict. And the second is the politics that was very much there since the very beginning because of this geo-religious nature of it, is the Iran-Saudi rivalry. these two elements are shaping the entire conflict at this moment. Now, if we go further into it, I would start by explaining that how Israel and Palestine is located in this situation. So, Israel and Palestine conflict has been the central topic in this region. Whenever we talk of this region to any layman, the first thing they say, okay, what about Israel? But the thing is, do we identify the core issues? What are the core issues here? One is Israeli occupation. We haven't done anything for it. Second is the question on Palestinian statehood. No resolution on that front. Status of Jerusalem. Nothing. We have seen that the East Jerusalem has completely been captured. In this context, I would say that I had an experience of going to Palestine 5-6 years back. So I was in West Bank for a couple of months, and the thing is, West Bank is still a better of, like, if you have to compare between Gaza and West Bank is more closer to and more peaceful, full in that matter. But still, there are certain restrictions on people, like the freedom of movement, which we completely take it for granted. Like, we know from today, if I have to go from Noida to Delhi, it might take me 45 minutes. In Palestine, I wouldn't take it like that. It might take me 2 hours. It might take me 2 days also, because there are several checkpoints. So, and also, if you are a resident of West Bank, you cannot visit Jerusalem. So these are the restrictions which no one talks about, but this causes day to day, like, it is nowhere. It is showing the occupational nature of Israeli government. Also, if we talk, another important issue which has completely been buried is the right of return of refugees. We are just talking about survival now. We are not talking about the real issues which were there and for which these people are fighting. Okay. Now, all of this setting aside, we know that historically the Palestinian cause functioned as a pan-Arab rallying point. So most of the, at least ideologically, most of these countries ideologically used to give that support to the Palestinian cause, because it was a part of the collective Arab identity, foreign identity. But with Abraham Accord, what we have witnessed is this pan-Arab foreign policy, which was mostly, revived during Nasser's time or during Baath Party's time, has completely fizzled down. And none of them, they are talking about it. They may be talking about them as a very crucial issue, but none of them get highlighted when they deal with the other countries, because there's no restrictions anymore. But people are overtly dealing with Israel. Okay, so this is another important shift that has happened. Also, we need to know that why this normalization has happened, why Israel is now very much a part of this. The first is, there is this shared threat perception among many Gulf states that Iran and not Israel is the main troublemaker, because Iran is more of a stronger regional power than Israel. And most of these countries want Iran to survive because it counters Israel. But will most of these countries support Iran? No. Because it's just that if Iran becomes more powerful, then it is a threat to them. So let Iran thrive. That will take care of Israel. And meanwhile, if they are fighting amongst each other, all of us will be together benefiting from the trade. Okay, so this dynamics works. Second is economic pragmatism. That is, Israel is a tech powerhouse. We know they have weapons, they have infrastructure, and some of the countries of this region see this as a real opportunity in cooperation, because they also want to progress in defense, energy, health tech. So it becomes their natural choice to go with Israel. And especially those who are very close to the West, they don't mind doing it. And third is the US incentives. That is, the US always gives the states the carrot, that you come on board and we will provide you what you need. So these are the three causes which I feel has normalized it. And also, but the real question is then what does it mean for the Palestinians? If we are normalizing this, the West is going and and supporting some of the states to normalize it means that Palestinians are now a cause for them. And it's not an issue which they want to really resolve. So there is no sense of resolution. So there is no commitment now, and commitment now to even halt the settlements, lift block. There's no commitment as such attached to it. Now, why I have been discussing all of this is to also know that there are some states which are often considered as some are states who are supporting the Palestinian cause, like Iran, Turkey, and Qatar. Right? These are the states we say that okay, somehow they support the Palestinian cause. But very sadly, Iran supports the Palestinian cause also to survive their hegemony, because they have their own groups like Hamas, Hezbollah, who they have placed at different points. And it's when people say that Israel has killed the Hamas head or has killed the Hezbollah head, they kill it, the chief, next day a new chief is born. So chief is just the face, chief is not a position. Like it's like a position, they put a person, but that it's a small state. So what for them, it is very important to keep the entire region in their control. So for Iran, having these small groups is also having their hegemonic power installed in the region. So Iran also is playing its own interest. Not, if you see Iran is standing for Palestinian cause, yes, but it is also playing for its interest. It's the realist game here, where only they think of self-interest and self-survival. Turkey, Erdogan actually wants to revive the neo-Ottoman leadership again. So what Erdogan is doing is, okay, Turkey is there. Turkey is going to support till the time Turkey becomes the regional head. So it's a game of regional hegemon, that who is more powerful in the region. So some are actually supporting the Palestinian cause to maintain their own hegemony. And Qatar here is very difficult a state to understand. Why? Because Qatar overtly supports Palestinian, gives aid, provides humanitarian help, robustly promote Palestinian cause in Al Jazeera network. But the problem with Qatar is Qatar's security guarantor again is US. So even if it is overt, but they cannot come into any resolution. Even if it is supporting humanitarian causes, it is not going to go against US and do something for the Palestinian cause. Now, setting the stage, I'll just end because I think I'm running out of some time now. I think I've spoken for 25 minutes more or so. It is important to understand that it is in this context that the Iran and Israel war has happened. Okay, because this is the dynamics, it has to be maintained. The scene is set. Iran now has to maintain its hegemony, but US has realized one thing, that Turkey can be handled, others can be handled, but Iran will not come and ever come in terms with us. So what can we do? We create another government which is pretty much like Shah regime. So what is old about it? The old here is Shah regime, when it was actually a puppet in the hand of the US, it used to help Israel to counter the Arabs. How? It is through the Shah, it is during that time that Iran used to give oil to Israel. It is during that time that Iran used to provide, share intelligence with the Israel. And they want a similar structure now. So that's why they're trying to topple Iran, so that the Iranian regime, so that they can install a similar Shah-like regime. But I think this is not a possibility. First of all, Iran is not like a piece of cake that US can easily have at this moment. I don't think, because Iran has two very strong regional power, a very strong superpower backing them, China and Russia, because they need access to Central Asia, they need access to warm waters. So they will not try to let go of Iran so easily, because US has more or less managed to get all their partners away. Syria taken, others taken away. Iran is the only challenge. I think these are the shifts and the changes that are happening. And I stop here. We can take more discussion and more question. I think I've used my 25 minutes. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Chakraborty. Very comprehensive, and it almost felt like sitting in one of the lectures that you're probably giving, and I've understood everything in terms of the posed a question and then answered it for us. Thank you so much. I would now request Dr. Nath, Dr. Sanjukta Nath, I welcome you for your discussion comments and the questions that you may want to pose to Dr. Chakraborty here, and then we'll open the floor for question answers. If our participants here have any questions, they want to type it out, please go ahead and do it. Dr. Nath.
Thank you, Jigyasa, and thank you, Dr. Chakraborty. For I think this is like the second time that I've heard your lecture as such, and it's such a self-explanatory right now at that period when you basically gave us a full framework of different states and their position right now. I think I have first query would be to also to ask the main dynamics right now given in the context of China and Russia. Given we have Trump right now, and we know how Trump has his own whims, maybe, but China and Russia are also very key player when it comes to economy of the region, right? I think in the whole dynamic, Russia is something that you mentioned very late. So it would be very nice if we have. So I would like to have this three-party, like let us bring in the superpowers first, and let's see how China and Russia is also, and how then through BRI you have an Indo-Pacific conflict that where India is now interested, right?
Yeah.
So, so I think, and Russia being also a very friend with India.
Yeah.
So the regional dynamic somehow is not avoiding India also, right? So I am very much interested for that matter to understand one, this growing relationship between China and Russia, growing relationship between China and Russia in West Asia, given their needs, given the nuclear tussle also, right? You have Iran and so if we can just have that, and then I will then bring in India maybe after a point.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what rightly pointed out, the places where you can elaborate. Because the thing is, West Asia is so vast and it is so complex that it's very difficult to cover everything at once. So very rightly pointed out. So I'll tell you, where is China and Russia fitting in? See, Russia at this point of time is themselves domestically very tired with the Ukrainian crisis. They want to have a solution there because they've been fighting for so long. But for Russia, they also need diversion at this point of time, that people start focusing somewhere else and not their home ground. Okay, so that's one diversion that Russia is always interested. Russia wants Middle East, like Russia has been, so to counter US, Russia has always been there. And the thing is, some of the Russia also buys weapons from cheap weapons from Iran. Iran is a master of affordable defense. So the kind of drones that they use are very cost effective. And the same drones the Russians have been using in that fight. So Russian also purchase some of the defense missiles and all from the Iranians. They also have a defense cooperation. On the other hand, China doesn't want turmoil in the region at this moment because the entire infrastructure project, they have invested in their ports in the Gulf, across Gulf heavily. So if there is a turmoil in the region, China will have to bear the cost, and China only understands economy. it's like from where I will get my money recovered. So in that way, at this moment, I can say for some time there will be halt in the region, but another round of some kind of uprising or some kind of turmoil will happen in near future, and all of these parties would be engaged. China is trying to fill up the economic vacuum. There is a lot of research which is happening that whether China actually wants to be a security provider in the region. A lot of people are saying they should, because that's a counter. So if I see that they are going to be a Cold War 3.0, that's not going to engage with Russia. Russia will be a proxy as usual, but it will be China fighting an economic technology war with the USA, which they are capable of. They will not go into a hands-on battle, or war like we have seen usually Russia and US doing. Okay, that's where the thing is. Nuclear. Nuclear is a very tricky situation. You see, Iran has developed its nuclear sector. So the 60% enrichment which is required, they have it. And Israel is Israel knows in this region if there is a country, and so much so that if US also is concerned, they know that Iran has that capability. And even if Iran doesn't have, Iran's allies have that capability to give them. So nuclear sector, when it comes to nuclear war, it's always going to act like a deterrent. They're going to be, no, I don't think they're going to be a full-blown nuclear war or in this region, because they also want this region to be conflictual as forever, and that has been the tendency. So second, third is, where is India placed? India doesn't want to get involved. It never wants to get involved. But the dynamics are changing. Trump is extremely suspicious of India's intention at this moment, and we know that how he has imposed 25% tariff. Trump doesn't want India at any cost to be close to Russia and buy Russian oil. But India trusts Russians when it comes to crisis. So whenever there is a crisis, Russians will be by India's side. So India knows the traditional partner. So at this moment, it's not, I heard something really interesting, and I really like how there's a recent talk which I heard, and I like how that ambassador put it. He said that for India, there is no permanent enemy, there is no permanent friend. We only have permanent national interest. Okay, so it's not that we are creating new enemies. Russia, no. US, no. People are saying, are India and Turkey new enemies because they supplied weapons to Pakistan? Like, no, in no way. What we are doing is we are prioritizing some countries at some moments, and we are not. So it's not that India is prioritizing Russia at this moment. In no way it means that 5 years down the lane, India will not be prioritizing US. It's need basis, because we know Indian foreign policy is pragmatic. Okay, yeah.
I agree to the point, but just to continue with it, also the point is right now what India also needs is much more stability in the kind of its partnership, be it trade and everything, given everything, and Russia is there. I agree with the point that you can all-weather friend, the concept that realists use, right? That if hawkish, we are dovish in some nature, some policy, we will be acting dovishly, but there's a reason they're also being dovish. But here I want to talk about, or I want you to highlight the point that how BRI and the plan, when we will draw, and the whole, how important is that China's presence there is going to impact us when we talk about Indo-Pacific. Because if you see right now in foreign policy, everywhere conferences and all, like to soft power seminar, and the one issue which has been very much highlighted is Indo-Pacific. Indo-Pacific is something as if this was never been there. It was there. Asia pivot was there, but nobody is talking about North Korea as a problem. Nobody's talking about Japan, France, naval exercises and all. But how backdoor entry of China in the region, maybe from a West Asian perspective,
Hmm, hmm,
right? So
hmm,
that
hmm.
way, somewhere how you like can we see like linking BRI to India's own geostrategic
Because
linkages, like geostrategic importance?
absolutely. See, Indo-Pacific is a US construct, first of all. So US wants Indo-Pacific to be highlighted. That's why they are pumping so much of money into it. Okay, because they
Hmm.
want access to Asia. Because the power has shifted from the west to the east. So now, if they want to play the game, they have to come to the east.
Hmm.
They can't just sit at the west or deal with the Western problem. So they have understood. So they have pivoted this. So there's a project which was launched in G20, which is IMAC, right?
Hmm.
So IMAC was initiated by the Europeans, by the way, not from here. We launched it during G20, but IMAC was initiated as a concept by European, and it is the first such agreement which was also supported by US. Usually, US doesn't at first go approve such plan. Now, a lot of people say that the IMAC was uh, deliberately planned so that the connectivity which China is building, we have an alternative to it. But IMAC is now in a dicey situation after the Israel, and a lot of people say that the Israel-Palestine issue was a counter to stop this connectivity project and also to stop this uh, new connectivity route. And IMAC, if you know, it has somehow sidelined the Suez Canal, which also has the largest bulk of trade happening from there. So, see, BRI is a concern for the world. It's a concern for the West. And for that, they are making a lot of projects which is going to counter this connectivity project. And India is very important because we are a peninsula. We have three water bodies surrounding us. So they cannot do without us. But in this process, India is also not agreeing to everything that the US is, because India's neighborhood is extremely volatile at this moment. And none of our neighbors are now our very close friend. Yeah.
I Jigyasa, if I might just have a single last, I think after that there would be
Please.
final. I think yeah, I think I we have talked about so many nuclear and challenge, and I would like you to bring in the whole idea of renewables and the how renewable energy and China has a whole politics of renewables there. If you could
Uh,
see right now,
uh,
there's a shift between because it's no more just economy trade. Now you
mm.
are playing through renewables, like sustain how the trade on renewables is such a politicized right now, even in the region. China
See,
being one of the key players there.
renewables is the politics of only the developed.
Hmm.
Okay. When it comes to the renewables, the people who are pushing for it, if you see, it is only the West. Okay. And they can afford it. There are some countries who are uh, aligning their cause with that because they also are trying to be emerging
Hmm.
power. But I personally think that when it comes to achieving those SDGs or achieving the renewable, the goal, the net zero, the burden of all of it is again falling on the global south, because we are trying to uh, you know catch up to what the West has done. So I personally think, and the thing is, when it comes to renewables, I personally feel that a lot of it also depends upon how we are getting the finances and from where we are getting the finances. When it comes about financing, I don't think much is done. When it comes about coining those projects, much are done.
Hmm.
But
Thank you.
the
हाँ.
main idea is to get the finance, right?
Yes.
Where is it?
ठीक. Thank you, Shrestha.
Hmm.
You I think I have taken a lot of time for the discussion.
But no,
Let's open the, yeah.
yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Nath. I mean, some of the questions that you raised were very, very important pivots that then I think led Dr. Chakraborty to kind of, bring more elements in. So I think this discussion was needed. For example, renewables were not part of the discussion, part of the lecture, but your question kind of, and I like what she said about that's really the game of the developed and not so much others.
Understand.
But there's a question in the chat box, and if there are any other questions, we're open to more. I'm going to read the question out, but also Dr. Chakraborty can also look at it in the chat box. It says, my question was wondering, is there a chance for the region to unite, especially in the context of Saudi and Iran polls, given the fall in future investments in field energy, active seeking out for natural and sustainable fuel sources? This is extremely speculative, and I recognize but Trump is a true challenge to America, keeping its global power consolidated and the loss of a powerful player and its control in the region. Yeah, that is, I think, part speculation and part question for you.
So
Yeah.
to the first part, is there a scope for Iran-Saudi cooperation? Little I understand of the region, my thing is I don't think there can ever be, because their politics is not here just about region or oil or rivalry. It's deeply, deeply religious in its nature. So even if the government would ever want to do it, I hardly feel they would ever want to, unless and until US installs some regime. I do not feel that Iran and Saudi people, because government is also formed by the people, will ever have that kind of a cooperation happening, even if when it comes to having, we can share. But I personally feel if is there a sense of cooperation in the region, it can be between Qatar and Iran, because they already share a huge northern field. And there is a lot of Iranians in Qatar who does a huge amount of investment. So yeah, in terms of friendship, if it is happening, then it can be Iran and Qatar and not Saudi and Iran. I don't think that's the possibility. And second is there in extremely that I recognize that both Trump is a true challenge to America, keeping the global power consolidated and the loss of powerful player in the and its control in the region. Okay. Now, no one knows Trump. We all know Trump, but no one knows Trump. Trump does business deal with people. Okay, so it's impossible to predict what Trump can do. Trump has been banned from Twitter and X. He has his own portal where he threats different country at different point. Even he did not stop threatening Israel that you take the bomb back, don't drop your missile. So with Trump, the idea is we know Trump, but we don't know Trump. So, and Trump is detrimental for America. The thing is, he has the votes of the people. People in America, they are very critical of Trump, but they also see some kind of benefits, because the campaign with which he came, that make America great again. So I feel a lot of people rally behind it, because Trump said that I'm not going to fight any more war outside the country anymore. So a lot of people think that Trump should actually stop all the conflicts. And I don't think I think I'm too small an entity to predict on Trump's behavior.
Okay, on that very hopeful but also very probably hopeless note, because we know him, but we also don't know him. Any other question or concern? Yes, Ishan. Yes, please. Please. You'll probably have to unmute yourself, because we definitely see you talking, but we don't hear you.
Yeah, is it better now? I hope I'm audible.
Yes, 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 you are.
So, Dr. Sreshtha, I wanted to rethink about. I mean, I had a bit of an issue with the last point that you raised about renewables being the issue of, I mean, a concern for the developed nations. Because there are I mean, yes, financing for renewables is a big concern, but frankly, as far as the renewable capacity is concerned, it is China that has the most renewable capacity installed for electricity generation. So I'm just not understanding how is it an
Okay, I
entirely
get
Western.
what you are saying. Okay, so you are talking. See, when I was answering this question, I was talking in terms of West Asia. But if you are talking in terms of and the global South, but if you're talking in terms of who has the capacity, then I might say, I will like to say that the Eastern, like the global South has the maximum capacity to take this project forward, but they need assistance. They need assistance. Maybe it is from China, maybe because to have a stronger renewable infrastructure, we need investments, and that is where we need the assistance. That's my take. I am not saying that no, it's the headache of the West only. West has the infrastructure right now to push for it, and we need to build infrastructure because we have the capability of it.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Any other question? I have a few questions, but they're mostly not coming from a place of disagreement because I'm completely not from the discipline. And sometimes people who do political science in the government and the theory sense also feel slightly unable to kind of get to the other side, which is on the side of IR. But I was wondering, and I want to kind of circle back on Qatar for a bit, because it seems like there's a very interesting dynamics at work from what you've said and some of what I followed, is that there's a certain way in which Qatar is able to maintain a relationship with US and a relationship which is of, you borrowing your word about maintaining or getting their security needs, but also at the same time have been able to extend humanitarian aid to Palestine, or to play that, to be able to play that moral, uh, if not the game, at least take the moral position. What is there? What could be a way for us to think in terms of Qatar, and could that be like a way to look at how are other players in the region responding to the crisis as we know it, especially in the current form? Because this, to me, it seems, I mean, Qatar, say 20 years ago, and I say that because, again, not from reading, but from personal experience, because my father was in Qatar and in Kuwait 20, 30, 20 years, 25 years ago. And then to now, the fact that there's a lot of infrastructure, there's a certain way in which Qatar looks very different from what, say, Saudi, or the kind of development, the kind of infrastructure you see in Dubai, or you see in other countries, and how Qatar has built itself up. So you also see US influence there. So one was wondering how, it's almost like you're balancing two very antagonistic spaces at the same time. At least that's what I'm hearing you say. So something about Qatar would probably help me also figure out what's going on. Yeah.
It take 10 minutes to explain Qatar to you because that's closer to my heart too. But I've written my MPhil on this. So, so Qatar, you have to understand where Qatar is coming from. See, Qatar, till 1991 was just a Saudi vessel in this region. Whatever Saudi used to do or perform, Qatar used to follow the same road. What happened in 1991, a very strong leader came into Qatar. Al Thani families took over through a coup, and they realized that they have to come out of the shadow of the Saudis. So they have to devise a foreign policy and identity for themselves so that no one associate themselves with Saudis. Okay, but it's a thumb size, it's a tiny, with a huge resource, but it's a tiny state. Now, if it is a tiny state, it also doesn't have a lot of resources. In terms of foreign policy, we see geography and resources as one of the key determinants. Now, they have natural resources through which they can purchase a lot of things, but they do not have the landmass. Geography is important. So, they need guarantors. Okay, but they want to come out of the Saudi influence. So, what did they do? They said, they asked United States that come build your infrastructure here in this state. But it knows that to come out of this idea, they also need to align with Iran. And Iranians have a very strong influence in Qatar. Like what's my experience says. So like half of the finances are held by Iranians. So what they thought is they will keep a cordial relation with Iranian and also keep the security from US. In this process, what they understood that they cannot use their hard power. What they have to use is their soft power. So they built on 4 understanding. One is to have a very strong media so that they can brand themselves to the world. That, okay, I have a strong media, now I'm going to brand myself as whichever way I want to. Then they started also showcasing Qatar through various sports media, education. So half of the education cities are now in Qatar, half of the big shot US campuses are in Qatar. It also funds football teams. So Qatar become a visible state. Okay, visibility, which is not truly Saudi in its nature. Okay, but Qatar needs security. So whenever US wants to operate any of its mission from Middle East, Qatar lets that happen. Iraq done from Qatar, Afghanistan done from Qatar. Okay, but Qatar also knows that to have the popular sentiment, they need to interfere, to cater to popular sentiment. They need to be involved in regional politics also. They just can't be aloof from there because Saudi is doing that. So what they do is they negotiate wherever US can't. So if you see where Qatar chooses to mediate, as a proxy, wherever US cannot mediate, Qatar goes up and shows up. It showed up during Taliban US mediation. It showed up during Fatah Hamas mediation. So it's like creating an identity, but Qatar has faced huge backlash also because Qatar hosts a lot of Palestinians. So if you see before the starting of this 2023 crisis in October, like which led to almost an ethnic cleansing in Palestine at this moment, you would see that Qatar has been hosting most of these chiefs of Hamas. And that's the reason why they were kicked out of GCC like 3 years back. So now everyone would be like, then what is Qatar doing? What is its position? The position is clear. I don't want to be associated with Saudi because I want independence. I have enough resource, but I don't have the landmass. So where do I get it? I get it, the power I get it from US. But I can also not align completely with US because if I do it, I lose the emotions of the local people. I can never be a regional power. So the aspiration, so whenever we discuss Qatar, we say Qatar punches above its weight. So if you punch above its weight, that's what happens with Qatar. Okay. I hope I have answered it.
Yes, very comprehensively. Thank you so much. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. No questions? Sanjukta, do you want to come in? And I think the presentation was pretty comprehensive and we kind of touched on most aspects. Okay, then we're going to announce the end of the session. Thank you so much, Dr. Chakraborty, Sreshtha Chakraborty.
It was lovely discussing this. It's like, I think you're doing a wonderful job. More such talks should happen.
Thank you so much. No, thank you so much for taking out the time, most importantly, and coming and sharing both your work and your insights on the subject. I also thank Dr. Sanjukta Nath for being a discussant and also kind of pivoting the discussion in all directions for us to get better and more material out of our speaker today. I also thank all the participants who joined us this evening. Saturday evenings are always difficult for people to come in, but thank you so much, everybody who joined us. Thank you so much, Dr. Chakraborty, once again. We'd hope to host you again sometime, probably when you worked on more countries in West Asia. And then you'll come back and tell us about what's happening with the rest of them, hopefully. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you, Sreshtha.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank
Bye.
you.